So the soap dispenser cleaned up really nicely. The doors now are opening very smooth, and all to the credit of CLR, which got rid of all those mineral deposits, and also the caked on detergent. I had one, well, actually two issues, if you count them as two individual issues. The screws that were going through the door into the soap dispenser were really corroded, so they snapped off inside the soap dispenser. So I took a little burr with my Dremelled the plastic around the screws and backed them out with some vice grips. I'm going to repair this with JB Weld, these holes here, and they should be good to go. I've got the jet dry dispenser out, and I tested the solenoid. It's kind of hard to hold it and show you the click, but it does work. I'm going to take this solenoid off, and I'm going to take this little screen off, and I'm going to take the dispenser cap off, of course, and I'm going to flush this thing out and make sure it's nice and clean, and then I'm going to put it all back together. So excited. Main tub gasket came. The gasket for the motor shaft and impeller came today. It's actually a whole kit over to the left there. Things are coming together. Well, there she blows! The brand new gasket. Shaft gasket. He said shaft. Looks fantastic. This was a little difficult to get on, a little slippery. Had to put some soap around the gasket and turned into a little jello wrestling. Not as exciting as jello wrestling, as you would imagine, but it's in, and there's motor clamps I can show you later on that clamps this whole thing down and basically sucks this gasket in, because if you just go to push it in with a motor on the bottom, it just pops out. So it needs those clamps to basically seat this thing. So until later. Something to point out when you're putting these pumps back together again, these impellers actually have shims on them, and they're at a certain thickness. You gotta hold on to them, make sure you keep them aside. There used to be, I guess, bottom shims on these things, but they're included on the impeller. So this one actually didn't have one, so this must have been one of the later impellers that did have the shims attached to the bottom. Actually says it in the directions. But so you should have your O-ring, your shims that you have from your old impeller, this guy here, and you just stack that on your new assembly right there. You can see the shims right there, and there's no ring underneath there. Nice shiny looking impeller. Look how beautiful that is, huh? Now I'm going to put the little cover that goes on it with teeth, and I assume that you know, traps some stuff, or maybe semi-grinds it. I'm not sure. So I'm now making up stuff, but I would assume it grinds some of the stuff up into little bits, because it does have teeth in the cover. Now she's looking pretty. Wash arm supports all on. Now I'm just going to put in the strainers and see what she looks like. I'm waiting for that lower wash arm, and should be here soon, so stay tuned. Waiting for her wash arm. Look at those strainers. She looks pretty. Okay, behold. Look at her. Very nice, huh? Very nice. The door is touched up there. Everything's looking good. Look at this. The wash arm came today. And it doesn't have the play that the other one had. It's not all worn to shit. I'll give it a little spin. She is pretty. Pressing down the road. Almost ready for her maiden flight. So on the left-hand side is the newer design upper or continuous rinse arm, and this one here is the old one. These fell victim to things on the top rack breaking them off, so it's kind of unbelievable that this thing's still here, but it's a little rough shape, and I'd rather have the improved design. You can see it kind of wiggling. It probably is from somewhere. There's lots of lime deposits on it. Actually, it was clogged with lime deposits too, as you can see right there in that orifice coming out. So I'm going to stick this thing in and see how she looks. I put a little tie wrap at the end there on the hose going to it, because these hoses get a little old and they lose their grip, so looking good. Donor machine. Inti racks. Nice rack. Not as impressive as my wife's, but a very nice rack indeed. Look at this wire here. It's really close to this little blue cover, which is actually a screw. It didn't have a cover on it prior. I know that some of these screws did have covers on them. This is actually a cover that I put on there, but they were all blue. And it looks like this got a little bit of some action maybe close to the screw. You can see where it was chafing and may have chafed off some of the insulation and got a little hot around the screw, which is a little disconcerting, but I'm going to put some electrical tape around it, and I also put this little cover on the screw so it won't happen again. But there's one thing to heed when you're doing projects like this is that it's old, and if you see any suspect wiring or anything like that, you have to replace it, or to put shrink tube over insulation or electrical tape where you see it necessary. So there's a little one of these things doesn't look like the other. I think there was something on Sesame Street like that growing up. This is the plastic retainer for the bottom of the door gasket on the KD-18, or KDS-18 I should say. And this is the gasket that was in there, and it's a freaking mess. It actually had a little drip coming from this thing, so I got a new old stock one, beautiful, and I'm going to put it on the bottom of the door. So there's a new gasket in place, looking pretty. I will say though that this plastic piece started to crack a little bit, so I put it on with marine sealant because it was losing some of its structural integrity, and I wanted something to adhere it to the tub so it wouldn't rock around. And there was a little crack here. I just did a little skim of marine sealant on it. I think it's in place. It looks nice and tight, and tomorrow it'll be all dry anyways and be ready to go. Hey, and because I'm like a little kid, I couldn't wait to see this up against the faceplate. It's going to look so awesome together. I am psyched. And because I'm just like a little kid, of course, I wanted to see what this thing looked like together, or a mock-up. Just an FYI, when you switch out the KDS-18 for a varied panel system, you actually have to switch this guy out too. This bar here that holds the lower kick panel up. It also doesn't have a rubber gasket because the lower kick panel has a rubber gasket built in. Try and run in the garage. She's running like a dream. No leaks. Got the garden hose running to her from the spigot right now, just in cold water, of course. AC power, of course, is hooked into an extension cord over here. And I've got the drain going underneath my garage door out in the driveway. But she is doing fantastic. Super to see. There she is. She lives again, the KDS-18. She looks awesome. Performs awesome. Admittedly, the front panel was a little bit more difficult to put on because I had to modify the mounting holes, drop them 1/4 of an inch on the bottom panel. But she's great. The door on the KDS-18 is just a little different than the rest of them. So I made it work.